there's a data set that went a little bit unnoticed in the conversation. Lately, it's been, inundated with the data set that PlayStation has basically been dominated for Call of Duty for the last 20 years. This particular data set is very interesting. It actually does highlight the behavior of a specific demographics in buying and purchasing consoles. And I think the source that I have here also went ahead and extrapolated it from Matt Piscatella. I think I also made a video about it recently, but I thought let's do a full circle around this particular, conversation, because you can't really go ahead and ignore this. The conversation and the talk right now is how Nintendo, sold all of these consoles with the Nintendo Switch 2, and how PlayStation has sold 80 million units. Shipped 80 plus million units, and how Xbox isn't selling consoles and all of the above. But I think sometimes where there is smoke, there's fire. And it appears to me that a lot of people did not necessarily draw the correlation with what was going on with Xbox with a broader, gaming industry trend. Xbox, being the smaller company, was the first to actually, in a sense, start to feel the pain, right? Because some people might say PlayStation absolutely dominated Xbox because their console proposition provided A, B, C, D, E. But with that data set, that probably was only a small piece, or at least one part of the story. Because we can't now chalk it up to some domination when Call of Duty basically eats every single lunch on your platform after so many years. You know what this actually means is if Activision actually did, right? If Activision actually did have their own platform and console, right? It appears to me that majority of players would probably not go ahead and get a PlayStation, but would rather be playing that game. And you know what's crazy? That actually shows one reality that is somewhat of a cut of that, because as Activision had the platform Call of Duty, many PlayStation gamers weren't really bothering playing Spider-Man, as much as they probably would have, or God of War, or The Last of Us, or Horizon Zero Dawn, etc. Just a while ago, PlayStation gamers were talking about how Horizon sold 38 million units and blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't even show up here because on PlayStation console itself, it doesn't seem like it was a game that was capable of even matching any of these other titles. Yes, people will say it was a new title and all of that stuff, but The Last of Us in its own time was somewhat of a new title, but you also have to give The Last of Us credit for having sold multiple spans and multiple versions and multiple variations and spanned different console generations. So when you put it all together, it appears to me that this particular data set is asking a significant question that has been, in a sense, stepped over. This report says interest in consoles declining, especially among younger gamers. Analysts say console purchases by 18 to 24-year-olds have dropped from 10% 2 years ago to just 3% in 2025. Some gamers blame Sony's lost exclusives, while others point to the rise of PC gaming and cross-platform availability. Now, Sony's lost exclusives as the object of blame is absolutely a fugazi argument. It's actually misguided because their exclusives were never as popular as the third-party games in general. Please hear me out. Don't go run around and say nonsense. They weren't as popular in all kinds of in a general sense, right? Compared to one franchise, Call of Duty, which is crazy. Now, when you also go ahead and you look very carefully at a lot of the other contexts, which would be the other games that are played on these platforms, their popularity even dwindles much more as Call of Duty, Fortnite, Roblox, GTA 5 Remastered, NBA 2K25, Delta Force, which is now coming out soon, 2K, Madden, Minecraft, and other live service games. And these live service games that I pointed out to, except, Delta Force, which I accidentally said, have all been legacy titles over the last few years. Do y'all also remember that person that came on camera that said they spent $38,000 on NBA 2K25? Just recently, there was an individual on a YouTube video who said they spent $38,000 on NBA 2K. Maybe not 2K25, but NBA 2K. I guess maybe multiple 2K, games, or maybe one, 2K title. If these people they are outliers. Yes, I get it. Are spending that much money, or even the others are spending very little money across the board with a list like this. It's interesting that people are seeing it, this and saying it's because of Sony's lost exclusives. No, it's not. In fact, the reason I think Sony lost its exclusives was simply because this was the reality in their platform. And if they wanted to actually make 70% on their investment, they would have to actually move to PC. Or even now, start moving more and more to Xbox. Else, this just becomes an Xbox machine. That's what Xbox converted this whole thing into. It was a chess move that you can't necessarily go ahead and argue against. So when you actually think about the behaviors of gamers that are now, in a sense, not buying consoles, you now have to ask yourself, so how are they engaging in their gaming? What are they doing specifically? Well, these games now have platforms that allow for gamers to be able to access, if you get what I mean, these things on multiple fronts. In fact, what we see right now that's probably going to break the stranglehold, in my opinion, of Apple and Google in terms of the phone space is that Renegade platform. There is going to be a Renegade platform in the mobile space. Mobile is going to get disrupted one more time. Actually, a lot more. But the first disruption that you're going to see is where someone's going to basically go ahead and open source the mobile phone, industry. But they need a little bit of, there needs to be a little bit of motivation right now for them. Right now, I think they're very comfortable being in bed with these companies, being able to sell phones at plans and make a lot of money on the hardware. There's a little thing going on in there. But the moment somebody disrupts it, you're going to see something, happen that's going to be strange. Do y'all remember when Elon Musk and Tim Cook had that little, get together when Apple was attempting to block Twitter from being on their platform, and Elon rolled up on, in the HQ? Do you know what people said? People said, it appeared, Tim Cook finally let that whole thing go through because he didn't want to have Elon Musk as one more competitor. Because Elon Musk would have, if he went into the cell phone business, he would have disrupted exactly what it is that they have. I think we're going to get another, another weird event that actually allows for the disruption. And once that happens, it will really take things to a whole different level. A lot of what you're seeing in terms of gaming is going to change significantly. The hardware is going to allow for a lot of really cool things. It's going to break a lot of rules. And then companies like Asus and Lenovo are going to jump in there because I don't know if some of you know Asus is already making phones. Oh, yeah. I mean, you just need that disruption, right? And I think it's going to show up. But not at this particular moment. Not at this particular moment. But anyways, the behavior that we're seeing, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think could be some other factors? Tell me in the comment section. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.